transformed Americans forever. Wade in the water! What do you know? Wade in the water! Tell who you are. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Made in the water. Oh, under his beneath a wise and magnificent, the sawdust was gradually lifted from the depths of slavery to the heights of liberty and manhood. Though we waited long, we saw all this. Abraham Lincoln is greater known as the great anticipator. The moniker wasn't carved overnight. Due to the tireless work of the abolitionist movement led by Frederick Douglass, who was born in slavery, guided Lincoln towards the cause of freedom. I am like Phineas from the whip and chain of slavery, and the lash and sting of pulling the legend scorn. The scorn my back is marked with one, and my soul is fettered with the others. After years of opposition, after years the two giants would fight common ground and change the course of history. 10 years before the Invitation and Proclamation was enacted, and all power you were given me, I should not know what to do. The institution. Oh, I had a bad ability. Could I reach the nation? Just a stream of fainting ridiculous, blasting reproach, withering store, and the fun of stern rebuke. For this lot night needed fire. It is not the gentle shout, but thunder. Frederick Douglass never paired of shoes until he was about 6 or 7 years old. He would sleep. He would sleep headfirst in an old corn sack, with his feet hanging out on the cold winter nights, to try and keep himself warm. Teaching to read was illegal. Young Frederick was traded what little food he had in exchange of reading lessons. It just shows how much he understood how education was going to be his key to freedom. And the key to freedom, it was at the age of 20. Douglass made a daring escape and went north and settled in Massachusetts. There he soared from orator. Douglass, the one cannot be truly fired, and on the other is a slave. It's a news peddler. Douglass' truth is of no color. Book of welcome, best-selling author, and from that moment I understood the pathway from slavery to freedom. He was the central voice of the abolitionist movement. He had this natural gift for communication. He was optimistic. He was charismatic. There wasn't a venue building of the whole people. Dante, would you argue that this man is entitled to liberty? That he is the rightful owner of his own body? Must I argue the wrongfulness of slavery? At a time like this, scorching irony, a convincing argument is needed. Much of Douglas's irony towards Washington, D.C. and Abraham Lincoln and the anti-slavery president who took office. The war began in 1961, and slavery is absolutely different than being an abolitionist. Very gradual with that most anti-slavery candidates believe in the abolition of slavery. I do not suppose that the organization would occur in less than 100 years. That would put the end of slavery in 1958. And for real Rick Douglass, that's outrageous. Mr. Lincoln is quite a genuine representative of American prejudice and far more concerned for the preservation of slavery. Doug was relentless in his fight for freedom and a steady drum beat of the abolitionist movement in his car. Lincoln moved the sign of the proclamation for any enslaved people in the southern state, and for the first time, making it legal, meaning of all black men to fight in the Civil War. The soldiers injected in the Union Army under gunpowder, but still they based discrimination. Southern Ferry. Routledge that he makes a trip to D.C. and decides he wants to meet Lincoln himself. To their surprise, Lincoln agreed to see him immediately. He was ushered up past of all the people that has been waiting for to see Lincoln that day. And just imagine the visual of this black man just bounding up the steps. And like, who is that? And it begins the conversation. Hello, Mr. Douglas, essentially. It's good that I read. I've been reading your writings. You've been critical of me. I need a platform for both men. And even bound to probe for black soldiers. Going to deliver the president with only that much to assure that, to me, that slavery would not survive the war. And the country would survive slavery and war. Later, it is Lincoln who needs Douglas's help. He's gonna lose to election. Essentially says, I think the war's going badly. Lincoln entrusted Douglas creating a plan for ending the enslaved people from rebel territory. That they could join the army cause Douglas writes a detailed letter to Lincoln, spelling out his vision to the special force. God, let me feel for a moment if there is any difference in the color of our skins. The president is the most remarkable man. Douglas's support to win re-election. The following year, returned to Washington once more, with any admiration. Now in this multitude, to reach to that I tell myself, and among you men, it's the first time a president devotes most of the speech to African Americans. One side of the whole population were colored slavery. Douglas heard his words and his language in his Lincoln address. Every drop of blood drawn with the land, every pay by another, drawn with the school. Over so many years, he was now hearing this at a very important moment in time in the nation's history. Douglas is invited to the White House for a reception. He sees Douglas entering, yells out, "That's my friend Frederick Douglass, no man in the country whose opinion I value more than yours. To Lincoln, that was a sacred effort. Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom!" President Douglas held truth's power. He never stopped fighting for his people. And he understood the struggle continued. He said, without struggle, there's no progress. Power concedes without nothing, without demand. Never did and never will. And now, here is Walt Disney. Talk a little more. Patience of 16th President Abraham Lincoln. Ever since I was a youngster, I had a great personal admiration for Abraham Lincoln. When we decided to bring some great moments in Mr. Lincoln's life, we began an exhaustive research. We wanted to bring to the people of today the inspiring words of the man who held this nation together during these moments of greatest crisis, the Civil War. To start with, we are fortunate to secure this max on the 16th president. Did we get this plenty? It's actually a copy of the original mask by the school Leonard folk. Lincoln was president, before he had a beard, and that's right. Our exhaustive research into Lincoln's life, we studied mannerisms, his gestures, and even his voice characteristics. Create a fatal likeness of the honored man. Final data so lifelike, you might find it hard to believe. Now let's go to the Opera House, and then carefully into the words of Mr. Lincoln, by him a century ago, which apply today to men everywhere. If you will pass through the doors leading to our theater, I welcome you to Moments with Mr. Lincoln. For attention, 50 please riders, has the automatic door opening up towards you. Please finish for a while. Carpet away, just pumpkins or older cups, best present ice creams, and follow you and the outside of a building. Please watch your step. Move toward the door directly in front of you. Hope to heal through these like electric scooters. There's a front of the party. Please do not cross over the line until the doors are fully open. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to a moment of Mr. Lincoln. Oh, beautiful forest and suspicious pride, all led to way a place for our time near majesties all over through the pain for our of all men, beautiful charolades. Way more now, dear brown, what a level from the rayon. Decision and see a horror and proud of thee. Here we go, come into this place. Because of that wonderful season, hide and sing. Oh, this was the American Beauty. Prayer for the future. Golden gold. Getting of us. The American way with England today. He was born in the feet. It's coming from conflict. Overcome a long expanding star trial or history. Dedicated to his great more. 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Your own words once wrote it on himself. By that time, the very first outside of Illinois, the man for the Prime Minister. I was born February 12th, when I was 9. Art Kalika, my father knew from production, espoused him again, my 8th year. It was a wild animal raising. And there are more battles which there are gone. I was hard to find each at once. And that to my bird year. Most common hand useful instrument. I think I would hold them about to 1 year. Went to one Illinois. Try one. Rather thought I might see without a bit of education. Once. Home and I be earnest. In 1854, fishing politics. The murder was in the Missouri Compromise. However, me as I 9 to 4. I was done since then. Pretty well done. And if anyone watches this reunion, I desire hope. It made me sad today. Only gang. See, the flashing lights, waiting by, for me 180 pounds. Star complexion, long ass red hair, and other, for Grammy elected. He's a portrait later. Abraham Lincoln didn't, president of the fair, the terrible threat of more. Then he dreaded again. If he was prepared to meet the vegan, doubt you. This Constitution is home through the paper. And no original. The agent gestures are coming over you. His hand is hand. If he handles a plate, and if he think he has, I hope that with God's charming. April 12th of 1961. But then goes to smoke for war. Civil War. There is destiny. The concurrent replica. The text will receive when they're all it's a double strike a man's passion. The brothers on their way. Two brothers on their way. Two brothers on their way. One more blue and one more gray. As they marched along, fife and roll began. To hold on tight only for morning. One was gentle, one was gentle, one was gentle, one was high. There we dance behind, one candle below, and cannonball those. No more those, it don't matter. When we follow these behind, what a beautiful morning came. A beautiful world, moon. First hour 10 years ago, our fathers go for the mission, a new nation, conceived in liberty, dedicated to the proposition. Now we are engaged in a great civil war. Every nation civil so conceived, irritated as long and brief sentences. So simple, so directed. Abraham Lincoln at 9 words to another emperor moment. But time and history. So that's today. A great new world is a we pay tribute here to a man who lived a century ago, but an individual who, and today, in the hearts of all freedom-loving people, was a valid father, but that time, there he is, and now, you are the sculptor, talents of the artist, will have us relive moments with Mr. Lincoln. Oh, well, hello. A good definition of the word liberty. And the American people just now are much of one-on-one. We all declare for liberty. We're using the same word. They did not all mean the same thing. Constitutes. The bulwark of our liberty happens. It is not a frowning, harassing sea culture. These not a reliance. Our reliance is in the love of liberty, which God has planted in your bosom. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit. Christ has liberty, the teacher of all men, in all lands, and everywhere. Destroy the spirit. Then the plans of the desperate seed around the world, all doors. At one point, we just put the approach to make it dangerous. By what means is Sarah fortified? Shall we expect that glad military to crush us with a blow? Only always a year of Asian, Africa combined, warped by force. You could drink from the Ohio, the Blue Ridge of triumph, 1,000 years, and I bet approach a danger to be expected. My answer, if it ever reaches us, must bring from amongst us. Cannot come from a void. Destruction, we ourselves, be as often finished as a nation, and we must live through all time, or die by suicide. We must stand first for our duty. Accusations against us, act in the destruction of the gods, nor as dungeons to ourselves. Let us have faith, make smart, and in that faith, let us to the end. Dare to do our dirty, as we understand. No, it just leads your. Cheetah as a big surprise, and we bruise, made for lightning wrong to celebrate for nation part of nation go. No, we go, go for you. Morning is later, New York in your heart. Glory, part of God is our, He's the heart, Jesus.